Welcome to video 3 in the series of creating decal images using Inkscape. You may notice that I've changed my screen capture software. I've gone to something called OBS, which is a open source free piece of software that runs on Windows, Mac, and of course Linux. I hope you enjoy this video and thank you for watching. Welcome to the third in the series of using Inkscape to make decals for old woodworking machines and other purposes. This is where we left off at the end of video 2. You can see I've completed all the graphics and the background for the decal. I've also done a couple of other things you can see over here on the right. I've separated the stroke or the outline and the fill layers so I can selectively turn things on and off. It just makes working with it a little bit easier. I've also, in my wanderings, I found this. This is the actual decal I'm trying to duplicate right here. I found this on the Vintage Machinery website, and I contacted the owner of this decal, the gentleman that took the picture, and asked him if this is what he actually had, if this is original or a reproduction. He said no, that this was the actual decal as it came on his machine, and that it had been owned by one person. So this is the way they looked, or what they looked like when they came out of the Delta Company back in the 1930s and 1940s. So very unusual to find one that's in this good a shape. So although I could have used this as my template up here, since I've already started with another one, I'm going to keep up using that one. But this one is very, very good for colors and things like that. All right, so let's go back. Today what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to, and let me just turn off these fills so you can see, I'm going to put in this delta. In video 4 we'll talk about how we do the quality tools. I have a little bit different technique for doing these than I do for the delta section, and no particular reason other than I find one technique works a little better in some situations than it does in others. In this situation, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this delta and just type it out and then adjust the letters that way. So let's go take a look at it. One of the first things that I have found when dealing with letters and text on these decals, it's a very difficult thing to do to get them absolutely right. It's getting them so that they really look good is very hard, and it takes a long time. Sometimes I will spend upwards of 2 or 3 hours on one letter, so don't be surprised if you wind up spending a lot of time on them. This technique works pretty good most of the time if you can find the right fonts. Then that's the trick. Of course, the font is just the different letters that are available, and there are thousands and thousands of them out on the internet, and a lot of them are free. Most of them are true type fonts, which you can import them directly into your application, whatever you're using. I did quite a bit of search, and what I was searching for, and that's the key, knowing what to search for. And in order to do that, you need to understand or know a couple of terms that are used when talking and describing fonts. The first one I want to talk about is something called a serif. Now, a serif is just a little extension on these letters. And you can see it here on the D. We've got that little protrusion here. And on the L, we've got a little protrusions on both sides. And you look over at the T, you got some little, it looks like things hanging down off the top of the T. And we can look down here in double duty. You see the D has got them. Now, you'll notice that the D here, the extensions are rounded. And down here, they're pointed. So there is a little bit of a difference there. And down here, there are no extensions or no serifs at all. So this is a no serif font, or what we call a sans serif. You've probably heard that term. Sans means no or not or missing or absent. I'm not really absolutely sure, but it basically means that there's no protrusions on it. So when I went out to look for a font for the Delta, I looked and did a Google search for rounded serif fonts. And here's what I came up with one. I found one. And I'm going to show you that in just a minute. So first thing we need to do is put in a new layer here. So let's go ahead and do that. And we're going to call it ribbon text. And I'm going to put it, I'm going to put it below this layer. I'm going to add it. There we go. The reason I do that is because if I turn on the fill, I'm going to want to be able to see that text, and as long as it's below it, I can see it. Alright, so let's go ahead and see what we can do. So let's grab the text tool, and you'll notice that my font is already selected, and that's the name of it. It's called Cooper Standard. Now, I know that this D is a size 48 font. So if I go up here and scroll down and use a size 48, and then I click and I type Delta, and there we go. Now, and there's our Delta. You'll notice they're all close together here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert my cursor right there. And if you look up here, we're going to use this again later too, spacing between letters. If I increase that, you see what's happening here. My delta is spreading out. Alright? So that's that looks a little bit better. But now the issue I have is on a nice straight line, but this is on a curved line. Basically, it's following the arc of the lower part of the ribbon. So, what I can do, back to my path tool. Let me just zoom in a little bit here. Click here. Click here. Hit the Enter key to end that. Grab my path manipulator and just go up and put this right on that. Alright. Now I come down here and I do a shift left click on Delta. Then I go to text and I just click on put text on path. Bingo. And there you go. Right where it belongs. Now I can move this a little bit. There we are. And you can see that we're pretty darn close as far as the shapes of our letters. There's a few things that are wrong, but we can adjust that. The first thing we need to do, though, is you notice that this A is way over here, and it needs to be over here. So, just like we did before, go back and select my text, insert it right here, and now just go up and start increasing that spacing. And there you go. Now we have it right across the surface like you want it. Alright. But in order to work with this, I need to do some things. And the first thing I like to do is get rid of this fill. I'll show you why. And I'm going to add stroke. What that does, it gives me an outline. I can work with this outline to put it on the black outline of these letters. So I basically use this outline over the black letters outline, and that's how I get my actual letter done. Alright, well, last thing I need to do before I can actually start manipulating is I need to convert these to paths. And that, again, is very simple to do. I just select it, go to Path, and select Object to Path. And then I select this tool, and I just select it. And you can see all these letters are now paths. Okay. So let's just select this one. I'm going to zoom in on it. There. You can see we're off a little bit. Now, one of the nice things you can do once you've got it like this is I can select this, and then up here, this is the width and the height of the letter. If I lock this, click it, and close that lock, I can now change these. For example, I want to change this height and move it down. I can change the height. And when I do that, you'll notice what happens here. Now, if I unlock it and select it, you see what happens. So I have to go back here, select this again, select this, and now I've got my keys again here. Now, a word of caution, don't try to move these, because what happens is you can get it close, but it doesn't expand or contract the way you would expect it to. It expands and it skews the letter. So I don't usually do that. I like to keep it just like this. And what I'll do now, in order to finish my actual letter, is I'll select the path tool. And now I'm going to start manipulating paths just as I did when I worked with this arc up here and these arcs down here. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is look at all these nodes and figure out which ones I need and which ones I don't. So I probably don't need all of these. Now don't worry, you can add them back in later, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So I don't need all of these, so get rid of those. Okay, I can see I got rid of one too many, so I'm going to select that one and select this one. And I've got two of them selected. Now I use the Shift key to select that one. And I come right here and add a node. And that adds that one right back in. Now, click over here. Oop. And now I'm going to move this. Move it there. There we go. Okay, I don't need these. And I don't need these. And I'm going to work on the inner, this piece first. Okay, now notice how this is a nice square angle here, or what it's pointed. In order to get that, this has to be what they call a cusp, a corner. So we make that a corner, and we'll make this one a corner, and now we'll move them. And I'm trying to move them into the center of the black line on the letter. I move this one, and I'm trying to align this with this point right here. And now I'm going to take this one, I'm going to smooth it. And I'm going to run this up like so. And I'm going to run this down like so. Notice now that I've smoothed it, these work together. Okay. So that's done. Now, I'm going to grab this guy, and I'm going to move him out to here. And I'm going to smooth him too. Then I'm going to move this guy, move him down a little bit. Move this one down a little bit. And now I'm going to move this up here. Remember how we did the arcs and everything? We put two nodes on each side of the curve. I'm doing the same thing here. Put this node down here. Put this node right up here. Okay. Now I'm going to smooth these as well. Okay. I'm going to move these. There we go. Grab this. Now see what I'm doing? I'm working with these handles. And as I move the handles around, I can change these curves. And as I extend them out, you see what's happening here. The curves are extending and moving, so. There. Now this needs to be down here like this. And we can adjust these nodes. And we can adjust these handles so we get exactly what we're looking for. Okay. I'll move this one up. There we go. And I'm going to grab this handle and move it out. See, as I move it out, these curves move. And they move out. But the nice thing about it, since they're smooth, they all move nice and smoothly. Okay. So there's my D. Now, from this distance, it looks pretty good. So let's just go ahead and move in on it a little bit. And we can see, and check it out. You can see, this looks pretty good. But notice here. So I got just a little bit of a bump there. So I'm going to just do this. And now I'm going to move this down a little bit. And move this one in a little bit. Move this a little. Okay. And I can also grab this and move it. So now it's just a question of tinkering and playing and making these little tiny adjustments to your letter to make them absolutely perfect. You can see here, I got a little bit of an off right there, so I'm going to try and fix that by just doing that. Sure enough, that worked. Okay, so let's come up here. That all looks good. All looks good. This might need to come down just a touch. And then let's move this out just a bit. There. Okay. I'm going to hit this button right here, and that's going to hide that. So there's my D. And if I turn that off and on, you can see. And I do it this way because that lets me look at very quickly, and I can see that they're virtually identical now. Okay, one other thing I need to do before I turn this off is I need to select this one, bring my stroke and fill back out, and I need to go to a stroke and turn that off. There we go. So that's gone now. The last thing I need to do before I finish with the D is select it, and now I need to fill it. So I bring my stroke and fill back, and this is where I'm going to use that new decal image that I found. So I'm going to go ahead and go to fill. I'm going to fill that in, and notice it automatically went to red. But let's just say, because I've been using that, so let's just go down and grab. Let me make sure I've got that on. Ah, there it is. No wonder I couldn't find it. Okay. There's that. Now, I'm going to back out a little bit here. Make it a little easier to see what we're doing. Now I'm going to come back up here. I'm going to grab this tool. Grab my D again. There we go. Bring my stroke and fill out again. And I'm going to go to grab this tool. And now I'll come down and I'm going to just grab that color right there. And that changes, and that fills that in. Okay? Alright, that's it for today. For this video, I'm going to pause it and finish it, and I will be right back. Okay, here we are. This is done. You can see that what it looks like. And if I turn off the ribbon fill and click this, you can see it's not too bad. It looks pretty good. Again, just using the tweaks and node movements and things like that, and you can get it pretty darn close. They'll never be absolutely perfect because we don't know what they really look like or what the artist's original conception was of these things, but they should be pretty close. So that's the end of video 3. Video 4 will finish up the ribbon. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please click that like button down below. Thank you, and have a great day.